Hello, and welcome to another episode of eBay Scavengers at ebayscavengers.com. This is episode number 68, and I'm Ryan, and I'm here with Jay, and we are talking about the eBay lifestyle again.
Yeah, this is one that I've been thinking of this week, because this week I've been reading a lot of other people's eBay blogs. I really haven't done that much. Mm-hmm. As I've always said, I always try and avoid those eBay community forums, because they're always really negative and about like how bad eBay is. And I'm just like, why are you even selling on eBay if you hate it so much? But I've been reading other people's blogs, and it's good. It's like it seems like it's a lot of people who sell on eBay, and they're posting things they buy, things they sell, just kind of asking questions. I see comments. It's really
It's a community, kind of, yeah.
It's very cool. But what I see a lot of is people confused or concerned about, like, not being able to handle their time correctly. So they're like, I have all this stuff I need to a list. I start to list, I get distracted, or life gets in the way, or I have this family. So, yeah, and we think about this ourselves, because it is difficult to learn how to create an eBay business where you're like a full force, you're doing it, and you're making a living from it.
Right.
Like, it's easy, but we've had to really kind of think about it and craft our life to make it happen.
Well, it's a job.
Right. And I guess we talked about it before, but what I came up with was this idea of basically we're running a mom and pop store, like we always dream of from the 1950s or earlier. It's like the good old days of America, a little corner store run by a family. Everyone loves it.
There's general store.
Seriously.
Yeah.
And the way I think about it is we do all the work ourselves.
Right.
I feel like we grew up in a time where it's like Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and Wall Street. And there's this idea of like, suddenly I look and everyone's like a CEO, like they're a CEO of their own website. And everyone has this thing like, if you start a business, it's got to be like big, or you have to act like it's really important.
Right.
And, in this idea where it could just be a small business, and our business will probably always be small.
Well, it's what you want it to be,
right.
How big you want it to be, right?
But, we don't have any dreams of turning this business into a multi-million-dollar industry where we have 100 employees.
Right.
I think we've talked about it. Our goal with these eBay businesses for us to, number one, avoid having full-time jobs where we work for some corporation. And number two, get it to where we can make enough money where we can live the lifestyle we want to lead, wake up when we want, take vacations when we want, and that's it.
Well, I think that's also like a scavenger mentality too, where you are kind of, there are other people online who talk about this too, different like people who talk about like early retirement, where they're like, okay, I don't care what kind of car I have. I don't need a BMW. I don't need a Mercedes. Like, I'm not working towards that. I'm working towards my time, having a fulfilling life with, my family and my time.
Right. Let's put this flag in the ground that this is how we think of our store, is like that mom and pop store,
Right.
Like what you imagine when a family ran a little store, their kids worked there, and this family put their kids through school,
right.
They had a house. That's our life. And let me explain how that works, because last week's episode, Mikey and Wendy especially was saying she wanted to make more money on her store. And again, this is how we've done it, is that we actually, when we're doing eBay, it's like a full-time job
right.
for us. So like we wake up between like 7 and 8:30 a.m. And that's great because we wake up just without an alarm clock. Right. So whenever we wake up during that time is the time it's wake up. Then we eat breakfast together.
Yep.
Sometimes.
So nice. Jay makes eggs.
I read the news. I mean,
yep. I will go pack stuff before the post office lady comes, but it's leisurely,
right. If something's sold.
If something's sold overnight. Yeah.
And then we're really starting work about 10 a.m. And we actually have a back building that we turned into a storage space /
office. It's my office, yeah.
And so we go in there and we turn on a radio and it's time to work.
Yeah, it's not like a leisurely thing for working. Like when we know we need to be listing and working, we are working.
Right. And so I take photos. So I have a pile of things that I'm always pulling from, and I'm cleaning them, I'm sorting them, and I'm taking photos of them, and then I write down in a notebook the description and the
measurements,
and
right?
Its measurements. Yeah. And then Ryan is listing.
Right. So I take all Jay's photos and his notebooks, and I bring, we have like 2 notebooks going at once. So I grab the one he's not using, and I sit at my computer and I list. I mean, there was one day last week where I listed 30 items. I just sat down and was like, I had a folder of 30 items with the most random stuff. And I was like, I'm finishing this folder. I want these things up. I always think about the items that are sitting in our storage that are taking up room that aren't listed. That's what motivates me. Like, these things are not even for sale.
And during the day, where things are selling, people are asking its questions,
giving us offers.
So we're talking to each other about it. We're asking questions about things we're putting up online, just about how much we should sell it for, because we don't know the answers. We have to figure it out as we go, and we're always finding these one of a kind kind of vintage antique things where we're having to do some research about it, and that's part of the fun too.
Right. Or since we've been doing this for a while, I mean, there's certain things like jackets and sweaters. I'm like, I know how much I can get for this. I know how much it's worth. I'm good to go, Definitely
experience makes things a lot easier. And then we really work until about 3 or 4 o'clock. Right. And then we kind of stop, and what I'll do is that we'll start to pull the stuff that has sold for the day. And we actually, because we have a large inventory, it's not ideal. We have different places where things are stored, so we have to actually drive sometimes to get stuff.
To our other storage space, yeah.
And, that's just how it is. And we'll pull that stuff. And we actually, because of selling on eBay, we actually bought a second house a couple of years ago that we've been slowly fixing up, that it's going to be a rental house. So we actually go over there too, and we'll do
a little bit of work,
an hour or 2 hours of work, because we always go slow, but the house is going to be beautiful and it's going to bring us some more income.
Right. So we try to balance those things, but there are times where Jay will say, "Hey, I want to go do something at the other house," and I'm like, I need to just stay here. I just have to keep working. I'm on a roll,
And then when we come home, Ryan normally works till maybe 6 or 7 o'clock and packs.
Yeah, mostly I'm packing at that time. I've listed during the day, and I'm packing for the next morning's pickup.
And then I'm the cook of the house, so I'm cooking dinner.
Yeah.
And then we eat dinner together.
Yep.
And then it's rest of the night. We're just reading, or we watch a movie or something, and then go to bed. And that's really how we do it. Yep. And that's the only way we've been able to create a store with as many items as we have, and we make an income bigger than I could have ever imagined on eBay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, that being said, it's not all work.
Right.
The great thing about it is that once we've created, I think once we started hitting about 2,000 items, the store kind of could go on autopilot if we wanted to go away for a month or two. And we just proved that. We were away for 6 weeks, and we sold quite a bit of stuff.
I think we sold almost 200. We sold 190 items.
Right. So that's the other great thing, is that putting all that work in up front really pays off on the back end, because, we now, whenever we want, we can go away. We can go and visit friends for a weekend. We can go on vacation for a week. We still do other work. We do computer work sometimes, and we still take a couple jobs every a year, and we can take those and go away.
And still have our eBay store on.
So I guess when you're sending us questions about running your store, just think of it like you're running a mom and pop store. If you were to run a corner store, you'd have to show up to that job and you'd have to be there. I mean, it's your store and you can do what you want, but you aren't going to make any money if
you're not there.
If you're not there.
Yeah.
So if you're only putting in 5 hours a week, you're going to have a business that is a 5 hour a week business,
the great thing is, it does, sometimes it feels tedious and it does feel like a lot of work. But the great thing is I'm just hanging out at my house. I can go take a coffee break. I can go check the mail. I can do some laundry. It's great because it's my own time. It's my own house.
And then the great thing about this lifestyle too is that we don't do this every day. We do about 5 days a week where we have this kind of schedule. And then 2 days a week, we do all kinds of other things. We'll either work on the other house. We're going to an auction.
Going to yard sales.
Yeah, there's a town about an hour away that has a lot of stuff going on. So we'll go there and, scavenge and go eat, see a movie.
Yeah, we do give ourselves weekends.
Yeah.
Whether it's in the middle of the week or during the weekends, it is sometime during the week.
Absolutely. But, that's the cool thing about this a lifestyle is that when we get bored, we can break up that pattern.
Right.
And we can do something else.
Right, exactly. Now, that's another thing about listing, too, is sometimes I'm listing, like, all these sweaters, all these shoes, and I'm like, oh, my God, I'm so bored. And Jay's like, great, just go pull stuff and pack it. Like, break up your day. You're always working and doing something for the business, but, break up your day a little bit so it's not so tedious.
Right. And, we always have said this. We have a mantra. We each try and do about 20 items a day where I'll take photos of 20 things and Ryan will list 20 things. They're not always the same things because it's making folders of photos and she will list at a later time. But, we don't always hit those 20 items. Sometimes it's 10 or 12 or
sometimes
15.
It's 30,
Sometimes it's 30
random
things. But it's good to have kind of some goals. And that's really helpful for us.
Yeah, the goals help. I always laugh at Jay because he's always saying, you have to make goals. And I'm like, no, I don't want to tell myself what to do.
It makes me sound like one of those motivational speakers.
I don't think, it's not like that.
I just think, to me, it's just, because I hear when people get overwhelmed, because really the feeling I read is like people get overwhelmed. They go out, they buy a shipping container of stuff, or they go to an auction and they buy a big box of things, and they have a pile of items, and then they're just like, oh, this is going to take me forever.
But I think part of it too is you can make really small goals. You could say, I'm going to list 5 things today. Just start with 5, and then you might get on a roll and be like, hey, this is actually faster than I thought. I'm going to list all the things that I have in this folder. So. Right. It is good to just give yourself, okay, I'm just going to do a couple things today and see what happens, And
what's interesting is that I've really come to enjoy this lifestyle. I know when we were in Amsterdam for that 6 weeks, we weren't really doing much eBay.
Right.
But I remember when we came home, I was kind of excited to get back into it. Like, it gives me a little bit of a frame,
a structure to your day. Yeah, it is good. And for us, we've been working really hard because we are paying to redo this house. We do some work ourselves, but we do pay other people to work on it. And so, when you have less expenses, you also don't have to put in as much time. If you can cover all your bills comfortably and have a little extra to save and, go do cool things, you might not have to work as much. So that's my goal. Like, once we finish this other big expense, like, I do want to put the hours in, but I want to be able to just, not have to work as much,
My goal
is
to pay off all of our debts.
Yes.
Over the next 5
pay off debt
years, like pay off our mortgage, and just what a life would that be if you had really no debt? Like, if you could pay your mortgage off.
Yeah.
Don't have any car bills, which we don't now.
We don't have car bills, but we do have house bills. Yep. And basically, you pay. Well, we've talked about this before. You pay your property tax and your whatever utility bills, and
wouldn't that be amazing?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is a great goal. That is kind of what our goal has been, working really hard, to do that.
So when we look at our store as being a mom and pop store, it's really cool because it's like a throwback, It's like it's like the old days when people would just start businesses.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they were trying to think of it as being multi-million-dollar corporations. They were just like, I want a business where I'm in charge.
Yeah.
And I can help my family.
Right.
And that's my life.
I'm the boss.
And it's a great thing.
Yep, exactly.
And I don't know why we in this culture have kind of gotten away from that idea. Now everyone wants to start some tech company that's going to sell for $1 billion.
Well, it looks so glamorous.
Right.
You know, you want to be the person that they're talking about, like the Zuckerberg, where they're just like, he was just in his dorm room and now he's like the richest dude on earth.
Right. And people, and people seem embarrassed just to say, no, I have a business, like it's small and it's great and I love it,
I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, but maybe they're just like thinking they're going to reach for something higher when it's unnecessary. You know, if you have all you need with a little bit more to save, which a lot of people don't right now. I mean, the economy is pretty messed up, but that's why we do this podcast, because, I see, recent graduates and recent, retirees who can't really retire. And I'm thinking, this is the best kind of business for people like that, who are like, maybe they had some high level skill that just isn't hiring right now. And, we have that, but we prefer to sell old shoes on eBay for our freedom,
I just think of all those young people much younger than us.
Yeah, college kids.
Yeah, or in their early, they're 22, 23, 24, who are not finding jobs. Like, I mean, so I'm 40 and you're...
34.
34. Is that okay to say?
Yeah. Don't act like not every woman is afraid to say her age.
So it's interesting. You've really only had one employer your whole life, and you only worked for them for two years before you went independent.
Well,
and we met, and then...
Right, I will say this, though. Both my parents were independent workers. Like, my dad's a contractor, and my mom is essentially like a self-taught artist. So... who would go to like arts and craft shows. So that was my life, was like them just hustling for work. So that was my model. Like, we've interviewed my mom. My mom's also an eBay seller too. I will link to that interview from early on. But that was my model, was, two parents who were like, I would never work in an office,
Right.
So that kind of helped our relationship kind of figure that out. Like, hey, people do this for real,
right. Because I just don't trust, having worked for companies up until I was 30. I just learned, I just don't trust them because there's no security.
Right.
And it's frustrating. And so, anyway, I love that we have a mom and pop store, Ryan.
Right. I do too. Our virtual mom and pop store.
Yeah. So anyway, we hope that... I don't know. This is just something I was thinking after reading all those blogs and hearing its frustration. And I felt like people didn't have a good frame of how to look at how to approach their store. So we hope that this idea of, if you're running a mom and pop store, that's a good way to think of your eBay store. And that means just you got to put the hours in.
Right.
But those hours you put in can be very enjoyable, because you're in your own home with your pets and your kids, and if you like your kids, maybe.
If you like your pets.
With its music and the food you cook, what better way to have a job,
And those hours that you put in, I mean, they do pay off. Yeah. I mean, really, like, a lot of times I'm like, that day I listed 30 things. I'm like, oh, did it really even matter that I listed these? Yup, because overnight, 2 of the things I listed sold.
Cha-ching,
cha-ching. Like, I'm like, hey, I listed that yesterday. That obviously it was worth it.
Right. And also, to give you perspective, I mean, we started selling in 2008, but it probably wasn't till 2010 that eBay really started feeling like a full-time
That's when
thing.
You started helping me, because I was doing it on my own just as like a little hobby type thing. And then I was like, wait a second, I need you to clean these shoes.
Right. But it really took a couple of years for us to build up a big enough inventory and really start approaching it like we're talking about now, putting the hours in, not just doing it 2 evenings a week for a couple hours a week. I mean, that's always going to be just a little part-time hobby job.
And we don't have other full-time jobs. So there are people who listen who are like, yo, I have a full-time job.
Understood.
Which is, you're like, of course this is part-time. But, for us, we were like, we decided, let's just do this all the time.
Right.
We don't want to take other tech jobs that are so-so. We want to pick and choose for the clients we like.
Right.
A couple times a year and just do this all the time. This is all we want to do.
Cool. So anyway, go to eBayScavengers.com if you want to leave a comment. We'd love to hear your approach to your business, and we hope this was mildly helpful to you.
Bye.